Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, and good evening. I'm Rakesh Kalia, and I welcome all the viewers to the next episode of our webinar series titled Can Blended Learning Guarantee Increased Learning Outcomes in K 12 Schools? Viewers, I am thrilled to onboard eminent school leaders for our today's webinar. I welcome Madam Gayatri Kaushal, Principal Mukher Public School, Rajpura. Namaskar, ma'am. Dr. Neelam Kaur, Advisor, Health and Education, Akal Academies. Sat Sri Akal, ma'am. And Shri Harmohan Singh Sahni, Principal DAV Public School, Shri Muktsar Sahib. Sat Sri Akal.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Friends, as educators start considering their options for the new academic year, starting April 2021, the future is full of uncertainty. All schools are preparing to take on the challenges pertaining to school operations in the post-COVID times. School leadership across the world is pondering over the kind of new pedagogies to be implemented in the post-COVID schools. Most talked about these pedagogies is blended learning. So, viewers, let's see how our worthy panelists respond to the most intriguing queries related to the blended learning. I'll initiate with Sani sir. Sir, could you please compare effectiveness of instructional approach in traditional and blended learning setup in the classrooms? Please, sir.
In my view, after we have all seen Corona, the things at the initial stages became really difficult, when neither the children nor the teachers were used to the kind of teaching methodology we had to adopt. In the beginning, it was difficult. So with passage of time, people understood about online platforms. And, it was totally different because the classroom physical kind of teaching with, children sitting right in front of you, it was much easier, though had its own problems. But when the time passed and the teachers had to learn, it became a compulsion. The Corona made it compulsory for everyone to become tech savvy and learn, a new way of teaching, which was not at all known to them. Using online platforms like Zoom or Google Meet, or other, such kind of platforms. So they had to learn. They learned with passage of time. Initial stages, they were not that trained, but with passage of time, they understood, they learned, and in my kind of area, the people did not have access to many such devices, so they had to confine themselves to mobile phones, or maybe only a few had tabs, and of course a few had PCs or laptops. But with passage of time, people had to arrange because during the complete lockdown, parents were there. Both parents were present, so mobile phones, I think sufficient number of mobile phones were available. But when the unlock one occurred, it really became difficult because parents had to go to their workplaces. So they had to either go in for buying, more such devices where they can. And in, especially the kind of area I belong to, much of the population belongs to villages where there was difficulty in, in the network issues were there. But I feel that, as far as, the kind of work that teachers used to do, they have been able to bring it to the same level, what they were trying to do inside the classrooms. And they have, I think the involvement of parents enhanced. And that is what made this blended kind of learning more effective in comparison to what I feel, we had traditional kind of teaching. That's what I feel about it.
Great.
So we are I can say we are in an advantageous position as far as technology is concerned. We have access to bigger resource, available online, with which I think the parents otherwise would not have access to, or children would not have access to, because it became limited because government restricted us for limited period of time for the online classes because of the eyesight problem of teachers. There were many constraints. So ultimately, they all had to come to the social media platforms like Facebook, like WhatsApp, like online applications. So that has, I think, made each one of us tech savvy, and I feel that it is going to be beneficial in the days to come even when the schools restart, as you said, in the month of April 2021. But still, I think this would remain even when the children come to the classes. I think this technology that they have invested in now, the schools or the parents, would still be of some use as far as helping them or satisfying their queries with face to face available on different web applications. I think they would still be using them in the evening. That's what I feel about it.
Great, sir. Blended learning here to stay for sure. So,
Yeah.
despite initial challenges that everyone faced during the COVID times. So, next, Gayatri ma'am, your take on this, ma'am, please. Switch on your mic, ma'am. Yes. Yes.
A very good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Well, according to me, the traditional learning system, it was only the guru through which the children were learning. The only source of learning for the students was the teacher, and that too through instructional approach. But in blended learning, now, earlier we have been telling the children not to use mobile, not to strain their eyes on Google and other things. But in blended learning, both online and offline, of course, will start when the school reopens. But in blended learning, the instructional approach is not that effective. It is basically how keen the child is to learn. As a teacher, through online classes, we can only guide the students that they can have an access to a particular topic through this side, through that side, and enhance their knowledge on a particular topic or subject and make their concept very clear. For example, recently, now that the syllabus is almost over, and what I did is I told all my students that they should use Diksha app for revision, which is a CBSE app, and in case of any doubt, they can make their concepts more clear. So what I feel is that instructional approach in online classes doesn't prove to be that effective as it proves to be in offline teaching or the traditional teaching.
Correct.
So definitely both have their own. Blended learning has its own positive points. You can broaden your knowledge. In instructional approach, your knowledge is limited to what the teachers have taught you in the class.
Correct.
It's limited to that only. But now the children can have an access to the best teachers' lecture also all over India. Through online classes or through videos, they can have an access. If they are not satisfied from their teacher's lecture, the same topic, they can have the concept clear through the best teachers of other states or any other college or coaching centers also. So this is the advantage of blended learning. And another plus positive point is that they can learn at their own pace. Some children, instructions in the classroom are given only once or twice. Maybe the child is not present on that particular day. But in blended learning, the child, in the comfort of his house or whenever it is comfortable for him, at any time, whenever he is free, at his own pace, he can learn in a better manner. So this is the advantage of blended learning. And I feel that Corona has proved to be a boon in disguise for the children also. And it has its own disadvantage. We all feel that regular school should be there. because actual growth of the children, of the students, is when they come to school regularly, and there are many other things which they learn other than just gaining knowledge. There are many other things also which they learn in the school, and that of course they are missing these days because of COVID-19. Thank you.
Correct. Welcome, ma'am. So you correctly stated, ma'am, schools are certainly, they are inevitable for the overall development of a child. So we cannot get away with the school system. The brick and mortar schools are they are here to stay forever. So their importance will never diminish. Moreover, you said blended learning, so it needs more interventional kind of approach rather than going completely online, for sure. So when we say blended, it means a mix of both online and offline. So that makes it blended. So you cannot rely only on the online resources, for sure. School teachers are the best resources which a school can have. So very correctly said. So Dr. Neelam Kaur, ma'am, your take on this.
At the outset, I think I thank Mr. Rakesh Kalia
Yeah.
and Sani Saab and Gayatri ma'am for putting up their points beautifully. Like he talked about the positive impact this online teaching has had on the teacher, because then there has been engagement from the parents as well. And Gayatri ma'am shared a beautiful thing, like the role of the teacher is synonymous with the word guru. So here now in this context, whereas like whether it may be an instructional approach in a traditional classroom or a blended learning, whatever may be the approach, the instructional approach, I think the denominator is a teacher. It's the same teacher who's imparting the instructional, he is giving in a traditional classroom or it is a blended classroom. So a common denominator remains a teacher or a guru, as Gayatri ma'am said just now. Now the thing is that now the challenge we have right now, a teacher in a traditional classroom has a structure which has been there for many years. Like it is mainly a structure which is like top-down structure, a hierarchical structure, which is teacher-centered kind of a structure. Whereas in a blended learning, it is like, it is not top-down, it is like bottom-up, which is like a collaborative or a experiential kind of a learning is taking place in that structure. Whereas in the other approach, it is mainly a didactic approach was there. But in this approach, we are trying to combine the skills which the teacher also has to enhance in as his own ability. Like earlier, the teacher was like, if it's a good teacher means like, it's like a milk. You have a milk and milk can give you butter and it can give you cream, but milk will remain milk. The churning process or the exposure to the teacher will bring the best out of the teacher. So when this kind of a teacher, the present teacher, the teacher who has to be equipped with the digital tools, not only his core competency in the knowledge domain, but his digital tools, his interpersonal skills, the soft skills, the problem solving, the conflict resolution. Now all these things are required when he is addressing a classroom, which is when he's leading a virtual classroom. Leading a virtual classroom and leading a face-to-face classroom are two different scenarios. So here a teacher is not only a teacher, he's more like a mentor, because the knowledge is already at the fingertip of the student. Now you Google anything and everything is there on the fingertip. Now the role of the mentor is there to go beyond that domain of a curriculum or a course. So it's like more of in a line of a lifelong learning. So the learning doesn't stop. Even if earlier the learning was more focused on the grade or a completion of a degree, whereas now the learning has taken a new dimension. It's what we call a new normal, where now the learning is like a lifelong learning, which is you have to apply whatever, it's more of an application, right? The easy thing, but applying Newton's law in your daily life is something which is different. So the teacher in a traditional classroom or in a blended classroom, it's basically his core competency he has to sharpen all the time. So if he's sharpening whether he is addressing that classroom or this classroom, the challenge remains the same. Whereas the additional thing which is required in a virtual classroom will be the soft skills and his digital skills, which he has to master, because this is an ongoing process.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, ma'am. Very correct, ma'am. So certainly the teacher's role is going to change. The
Yeah.
traditional teacher's role is going to change, as we say, not from a stage on the stage to guide by the side.
Guide by the side.
Yeah. So certainly you highlighted good points, ma'am. Thanks for your outstanding views. So friends, there are 7 models of blended learning being practiced among K-12 schools across the world. These include station rotation, lab rotation, individual rotation, flex model, a la carte model, flipped classroom model, and enriched virtual model. So India, with about 260 million students studying across 1.5 million schools, and more than 40% students enrolled with the private schools, needs highly contextualized blended learning model for being an effective choice. So Sani sir, which blended learning model is most suitable for the enhanced student learning in schools, particularly in context with Indian schools?
See, in the Indian context, what I feel, Kalia Saab and the worthy panelists, is that these are the models that you have talked about. They are most of them are not being used, I think, in the Indian context.
Correct.
So what I experienced just 2 years back was sort of co-teaching learning, blended learning model was, that is what I experienced. In that model, we engaged, experts from a far off place, because I was looking after an institution which was in a very remote corner of Punjab in the district of Bathinda, where thinking of getting experts for preparing children for competitive examinations, or even for very high-fi performance in the CBSE examinations, was was a Herculean job. It was very difficult, getting them. So we had to engage in the beginning. I'll tell you a bit of story, that we had to engage faculty from outside. I mean, that is sort of visiting lecturers, but they were coming for a limited period of time, and they were interacting with children. Moreover, since they were from not Punjab, they were from other states of the country. A lot of problem in the communication skills, a lot of problem in their accent of delivering the things. So that was being faced by children. So then we came across this model that was co-teacher, blended learning platform that was. And in that, we engaged a company where experts were available, right from far away place like Chandigarh. And we definitely we had to, spend and invest in money to create a soundproof room, and had to spend on the infrastructure. But I felt that was very, very useful. And, with the proper involvement of parents and children, we had to make them agree. We had to give them demonstrations. And, finally, when they agreed, we carried on, with this program. In this program, you see, there was on one side, there was teacher from our school who was present in the class in that special room that we had with a projector, on the white screen. So we had a teacher with children, and we had a green board as well. So teacher would do something, some part of the syllabus would do. I mean, the curriculum was divided, and whatever was the school syllabus, the same was intimated to the expert who was to discuss and teach the topic from far off place. So when the class was held, the teacher was present in the class where the expert was available on the screen. And definitely, a teacher coming from nearby village, or maybe from a nearby city like Bathinda, will not have as much of exposure as an expert sitting at Chandigarh would have. So they would be teaching. I think that would, first of all, would advance the way the curriculum is designed for a small school which is situated in a small village in district Bathinda. So that enhanced the curriculum designing. Then teaching, at the same time, the teacher is present, children are present, and an expert is present. The online, and it was such a wonderful experience that there was no gap in when the expert said something and the child is able to ask the query at the same very moment the child can interrupt to the level to the expert can request the teacher to stay for a while and explain or re-explain a particular thing which the child has not understood, or even the teacher had that facility to to satisfy his her own queries with the expert. So that was one model that I saw bring in, that was, the curriculum designing, proper, correlation between the school syllabus coverage and the expert doing it. One thing. Second thing is that satisfying the queries of the children and of course of the teachers. Then testing at the same time, right? And, that after teaching, simultaneous testing it was possible. And the speed, sometimes, when the teacher standing in the class, because children were of small place, they may not be able to match their speed of understanding with the expert explaining them. So the teacher had to intervene to tell the expert that to go a bit slow or re-explain the things, or maybe go with a little less space so that the children can understand. Sometimes the children were hesitant, they would ask their own teacher, and the teacher would further, transfer those queries to the expert. So I felt that, this co-teaching where, there were two teachers, it was a collaborative teaching, done by two teachers at the same time. And better explanation, of course, was one experience. Re-explanation was one of the experience. More number of examples to make the, to make the concept clear, clarity of concept was one of the advantage that I found. Simultaneous testing, even the teacher is there available to supervise the children, as well as the expert is also available on the screen to check that the children are doing in an honest manner and they're doing the test and right there. And it can be solved simultaneously if the children are unable to solve a particular problem. The expert would solve it on the board, which is present in that classroom at Chandigarh. So that would clearly show everything to the children how stepwise the things can be solved. And the results are available then and there after the testing or the proper, that helps children understand the CBSE way of writing and presenting, so as to enhance their performance in CBSE examination. And even the experts could tell the shortcuts as well to, look into their problems or their needs of the competitive examination preparation. Then, the syllabus that was going on in the school and the syllabus that was going in the experts class, they were going parallel. So the children were not burdened with double the syllabus. Generally, what happens is that when we go in traditional way, the school is teaching something and a child in the evening is going to an institution where the syllabus is being taught. The syllabus taught is being, is different from the syllabus being covered in this class. So child has double burden, when it comes to CBSE examination and competitive. So this had also benefit of, preparing children for CBSE examination as well as for the competitive examinations. And then, of course, in between, the expert can stop and can ask the teacher. So this, if the principal sits in such a class, I feel it is a complete exposure. Even the teacher can be assessed in the same class. When the, in the presence of expert and the presence of principal, when the teacher is asked to teach a particular topic, and then we can always give in more inputs to the teachers in order to make the children understand in a better way, or make the teachers teaching effective. And so this this also made the expertise from far away place available to the village children, which otherwise would not, perhaps not possible, or maybe the parents are not able to spend as much of money. And I think it provided a sort of security in the minds of parents that children were right there in the institution, right in front of their teachers and right in front of their parents, or sort of principal, that parents had no insecurity of sending children out to other places, or maybe making them stay in PGs or something. So I found that was that kind of blended when one teacher in the school and one expert in the school itself. So the child comes only once and goes back after getting, teaching from both the kinds of teachers. So I found that model was wonderful, and would want to, once again use it in my present institution, where I have just spent 6 months so far. And you see, with it, the experts, they also made us available the material for CBSE examination as well as for the competitive examinations. And then it was time bound kind of exercises. Then at a scheduled date, there was a test of both the kinds, and then results were made available through online platforms, and which were passed on to the schools, and then further the schools passed it on to the parents. So meetings can be held. Even the meeting of parents with the experts, or with the with all the panel of teachers sitting at Chandigarh, was possible through that same platform. It was not only interaction between the teacher and the children, but it was the interaction between expert and the particular faculty teachers, and it was also the panel of teachers, experts, and the panel of parents, parents and management sitting over there, principal sitting over there. There was a wonderful platform, that all of them could discuss. I mean, all the stakeholders available at the same place discussing, and children, morning they are coming to school, and afternoon they are reaching back to their parents. And then special notes, as I already said, for both the examinations, and shortcuts. I mean, very many advantages more. These are the things which which could strike my mind, and I have forwarded them to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Thanks. So, as you said, co-teaching pedagogy synchronized with your academic curriculum in the school.
Yes.
That worked best for you.
Yes.
And not for you, I mean, for all the stakeholders in the school ecosystem.
Yes.
So that's good. That's good, sir. Thanks for your interesting insights, Sani sir. So
Right.
viewers, teachers being the backbone of academics in schools have a critical role to play in student learning. Post-COVID schools certainly require teachers to reskill and upskill, in order to deliver on their promises to the students. So Gayatri ma'am, how school teachers can be instrumental in increased impact of blended learning?
See, personally, what I feel is blended learning. The term itself is very new in the Indian education system, isn't it?
Correct.
It was adopted maybe in foreign countries, in foreign universities and all, not in schools at least.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, when curfew was announced, and we lost contact with the parents and the teachers, and then it was like the schools are not going to reopen for a long time. So, and we as school heads, we were like in a fix key. How do we teach the children? Our teachers were not at all aware about online teaching at all. So what we did is we requested the smart class vendor. Like we have Extra Mark, Tata Edge, and these e-learning system. We requested them that learning app to be provided to us, through which our teachers, as Mr. Sani said, that what our teachers were doing, they were teaching and they were using these learning apps also. They utilize that as a medium to make the concepts more clear to the students. And through these learning apps, what we did is we tried to make the lessons more interesting for the students, as well as, now Sani sir has been talking about senior classes only, isn't it? That we need to train them or teach them prepare them for the board exam as well as the competitive exam. I was worried about those junior classes, the nursery classes and the second standard and the fifth standard, how to make them sit in front of the mobile or laptop and listen to the, in the class also, it is initially, it is very difficult to have a bonding between the students and the teacher. And online though, it is again a challenge for everybody, all of us. So what I feel is ki first what we did initially 15 days, we had given a training, online training. That also, we did not call the teachers because it was curfew. For 2 months, we were not able to come out of our houses also. So we provided a proper online training to our teachers for 15 days continuously. And after 15 to 20 days, they were in a condition to start with their classes, online classes, and that too through mobiles. And in a place like Rajpura, and it is surrounded by so many villages, you have network issues also. So it was a great problem for all of us to bring the children for attending the classes regularly, online classes. And then again, every family doesn't have, if they have 3 children, they don't have 3 mobiles in their home. So we had to schedule the timetable from morning 8 o'clock till night 8 o'clock, so that all the children could have an access to online classes. So what I feel is, in the blended learning system, the teachers definitely will play a very important role. They have been playing in the past, they'll be playing in the future also, even when blended learning continues in our country or in wheresoever. And they will have to update their knowledge. They have to be very efficient in technology, as well as blended learning. As I told you, the sources of getting information or knowledge is available at the press of the button. As a teacher, when I go to the class, I know in front of me, or even online classes, there are children who already know many things about that particular topic. Until and unless I have not prepared myself thoroughly, I will not be able to face the children. So the teachers have to be very, very, hardworking. And of course, they will have to update themselves and have to be smart to face smart children of the future. That is what I believe.
Correct.
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. So correctly stated, ma'am. School teachers, they have shown their mettle during the COVID times, of course, adopting technology very, very fast. And they need reskilling in that sense also, because they need to be tech savvy, number one. Number two, they need to enrich themselves knowledge wise, as you said. Unless a teacher is, knowledgeable, he or she may not be able to deliver the best. So that's nice, ma'am. So viewers, for teachers to create quality, blended learning environments, schools need to invest in the necessary hardware and software, and make these available to teachers and students while providing the technical support. So, Dr. Neelam, what role does technology play in deriving, student learning outcomes in a blended learning pedagogy?
Right. Thank you very much, Gayatri ma'am and Sani ma'am, sharing your journey during this COVID times. And I think you addressed it quite admirably well. I think these are the challenging times for each educator, and it was wonderful to see like each one of us developed in one or the other way. So, and Kalia Saab, as you said in the beginning, like there is a lot of digital divide in our country.
Right.
So there is a gap between have and have nots. So technology is desirable, but it demands infrastructure and resources. When we have a country which has such huge divide, so to address this problem, it has to be a multi-dimensional or a multi-pronged approach, which has to have the government also have to play their role. Like when we have, yeah, I was just reading about like what Delhi schools have transformed. Now, where we see the allocation of the funds was, I think, to the tune of more than 20%, 25%, whereas in the Bihar it is 2.5%. So when there is such a huge divide, so the question of inequality will always be there. Though the technology, like if we go back, as Gayatri ma'am said about the Guru Kul system, and like Akal academies are like we have a Gurukul system where we believe that Guru is the core. So he is the one who is going to inspire and motivate the learner and create that ecosystem. Now, if we look at Eklavya, how did he learn? So he learned by a model of experiential learning, where this learning was happening because the learner was deeply and very inherently motivated. So he learned, like if you could compare what he learned to like as we learn how to ride a bicycle, when we see someone else riding a bicycle, so what we see is that we look at the way he's doing it, and in our mind, like there's a observation phase, and then there is a abstract, like we try to in abstract from concretize what is he doing, what is going well with him, and what is which is not going well with him, and then we try experimenting. So जब हम साइकिल चलाते हैं तो हम पहले पूरा उसके उसके ऊपर सीट के ऊपर चल के नहीं चलाते हैं, तो हम कैंची चलाते हैं, फिर धीरे धीरे करके उसको we keep on relearning. So our all successive attempts are better than what we did before, and this is what is experiential learning.
Correct.
Now when we talk about the technology, yes, you have to bed technology in instruction, but if we have adequate resources, the training, and there are different models like in our Akal academies, we have CBSE schools, we have IB schools, we have ICSC schools. So our IB school, there where they promote an inquiry-based learning, which is more on problem solving and more on analytical thinking. So there's a huge role which technology brings in, because since it's an international curriculum, so you have to be equipped to know the best what's happening around the globe, and you have to train your learner to be a global learner. So he has to learn in the context of the whole humanity. So he's not only learning for one degree or one discipline, but he's learning to be a lifelong learner. So we had a little bit of exposure in this because we have two international programs at Barusa running in addition to CBSE. So one is International Baccalaureate and the second is the Cambridge. So both are international programs, but these international programs taught us to wed technology. Though we were not ready, as Gayatri ma'am said, each one of us was not ready in that way. We had a little prior exposure, but not to be ready in the terms of matching resources. So, but when we were immersed in this situation, when you have these 120 schools and they are spread in the five North Indian states, and as Sanisa was just now sharing with us, and even ma'am, that we are in a rural background, so we have our own compulsions and limitations. But one thing which emerged in this context was, like whatever we were talking about technology, all our teachers, there was one thing which you have to drive the teacher. You have to motivate and inspire him that he or she there is no need for him or her to give up. So his motivation has to be high, which has to be driven from the top, whether it's the management or the school leadership or the pedagogical leadership. It has to be there, because this is not merely face-to-face teaching. It is something the stakes involved are hair high. As Sanisa said, the parent is also engaged. He is also watching what's happening. So there is something which is happening. It's like more of a thing which is like two-sided. Whereas in a classroom situation, it is only the teacher or the students. So whatever model we use, so what we tried there was that when we started, as we went along all these 6 months, and as 23rd March, the curfew was imposed, and in the first week of April only, we took this challenge that the show has to carry on. These students have to learn, and our teachers, they don't have to give up. So in the little ways and means, we started using giving like small WhatsApp lessons or a URL or PDF or PPTs or these little things. We started with them so that the learning teaching should go on. And then you will be very like surprised to know that we were when we did that for 2 months, then we thought it's a time for assessment, because until and unless you do, if you have assessment, only then you can know the efficacy of this teaching and learning. So there was a huge challenge now how to assess these children. So in the beginning, in the first, like in the month of May, we started with Google Form. So we created a link, which this link was for a class or a stream, and it was shared with the student. So the student was supposed to like fill up that is the multiple choice questions. So in the stipulated time and submit that with the help of his Android or a smartphone. And we completed 27,000 students like that. Then after 2 months, then we had our own learning management system, which we were using for our international boards and our other online programs, which are run for the university. So which was based on Moodle. So there was a login ID we created for each student, and this time again they could assess with the help of their smartphone or Android or a laptop. Then most of them did like by having a shared smartphone. So 15,000 children appeared in this test. So all of them were assessed, and as both of them shared our co-finalists. So we have a very robust system of their professional development. So we had almost like more than 120 webinar sessions for our teachers, which were like we covered more than like there are around 5,000 teachers, but like each one had 2 or 3 sessions. So we had approximately 15,000 sessions, and our like the number of and we have we monitor that how many hours of online teaching is happening. So it's around 3,500 hours per day. We are teaching across all these 120 academies. And it comes to about 40 periods per academy per day. So where now we have started using even a Seesaw, Socrative, and another model which I want to share with you is a flipped classroom, like you mentioned that. So flipped classroom is a very useful method for the teacher. Like whatever content he has to teach, he has to share with the student before he really teaches. So what happens is that your classwork becomes your homework and your homework becomes your classwork. So whatever you do, so the teacher, the student has already gone through it, and whatever the questions he has, he brings it into the classroom. So the real homework is done in the classroom setting. It's a very powerful method, and a very like the feedback also we get it there and then. Like we talk about formative assessment and summative assessment, which is happening, which has to happen in these online classes as well. So if you are giving a video lecture, you're giving a WhatsApp video, break that video after 3 minutes. Ask for questions, or maybe the child makes a video of a 1 minute and shares. So that kind of a thing where the child is given an opportunity to reflect on his learning. Until and unless we do not give that pause to the child, we will not know where we are in this very, very different kind of a situation. So this is we can very easily try that. But the handicap will always remain because machines cannot teach us to be humane. That has to be done by face to face. So, but that contact with the teacher has to remain, because the something that emotional energy or the spiritual energy or our those things can only be transmitted when you can feel your teacher, you can see your teacher, there is an emotional connect. So that's the flip side of it. But I think there are a few learnings which I've shared with you. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, ma'am. Very well said, Neelam ma'am. So student engagement through effective blended learning pedagogy is key to higher learning outcomes for sure. And this definitely needs, necessary technology inputs, as you suggested. And this technology embedded in well-crafted academic curriculum works best, I think. So that's good. So This is good. So thanks, Sani sir, Neelam ma'am, and Gayatri ma'am for all your wonderful remarks in today's webinar.
Our
Viewers,
pleasure.
viewers, in blended learning environments, the online learning component offers student individualized data, timely feedback, and oftentimes flexible pathways. The teachers can also use data gathered by EdTech to inform student groupings and differentiated assignments. In other words, harnessing data from online learning has a strong potential to drive more student-centered instruction. On that note, I again thank all the respected panelists for sparing their precious time. Thank you very much again, and good evening to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kalia.
Thank you.
Like I
Bye.
would like to add here is that a formal, like a humble invite to visit our campus sometime.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, sure.
I'm
Definitely, ma'am.
lovely to
Thank you.
receive you because we have known you now virtually. Now we want to know you personally as well.
Definitely, ma'am. It's a done deal, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalia Saab. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.